Good evening, sirs. So let's work today. Once again, I'm sorry for starting this class late. This is my network. So that was most of our time. The last lab we are talking about the bootstrap, how you can be able to create a website using what the bootstrap libraries. And the last time I talked about what bootstrap is already what created library that can be used to do to design the different type of the web interface. I said using bootstrap is very simple and very straightforward. I say what we need to do is just to make sure we prepare our website to take a bootstrap by first make sure we add a bootstrap CSS library directly from the CDN to our HTML page in the head section. And after that again, we are still going to add the bootstrap JavaScript to our web page again, but that should be inside the body section. So once that is done, then that means our HTML page is now ready for what? For using the bootstrap or library available. And where the major work start from now is where you are going to see different tab for the already created different interface for for the bootstrap, like the list, like table, like bootstrap images, the navigation, and so on again. And I say I want us to design a simple page using this particular a bootstrap. We are talking about is using the grading system for the layout. So here is the pages we are trying to design in the last like this index page using different type of the bootstrap or component. You notice that most of the particular interface we are trying to put together, we are using all the bootstrap components that we are picking from this particular libraries. So here now we're able to design the top section here, and then that means this okay, the top section here, and we also use the navigation here, which is also coming from the bootstrap. We also create the header section here, the page header here. Sorry for this pop-up. Don't do anything. So not only that again, and we also design the conception for our contact us, where we have the map and the section for the form. I say today we are going to create a form section, and the layout we are following, you say we are following the already designed the page we have created for the contact us page on our website here now. So, and that particular page is supposed to pause. Sharing the Zoom like this. Share. This people cannot see the entire page. Can you see my page? Everything. Share. Okay. Okay. So now let me open the pages we are trying to follow up to use here, and that's our contact us page here. So I want us to see how you can design the same layout page here by using a bootstrap. So the next section I want us to design now before we go to the form for the bootstrap is a contact us section here, or let's start with the bootstrap form first. So using the form for the bootstrap, we have to move to the section where we have for the form here. The already created form for the bootstrap. Using the bootstrap form here, there's a custom form, there's an input group again, there's a button that's not part of the form again. But to create a form, you can use bootstrap form here, or you can see bootstrap custom form here, which you can later change again to adjust some of the component that is there. Like here now, creating a custom form, this is already prepared form in the bootstrap here. You can have a custom checkbox, and you can also add the custom radio button. That means you can pick each of these already component of the form here to design your work, your HTML form. It now depend on how does your form look like. If you look at the form I'm creating here now, there's no need for radio button, there's no need for checkbox again. That is it. But that doesn't mean that you cannot use them. And there are different ways we can be able to put different type of element here together. You get it now? So if I'm now creating a general form again, there's a bootstrap here for general form here. Whether you want to create a vertical form, because bootstrap provides three way of creating a form. A vertical form is the default layout. We have horizontal form, we have inline form. The vertical form is this one here now, where we have for everything in vertical, just in a single row. While the horizontal form is going to occupy two column, two row. Email, password, these are the horizontal form, and that is the type of the form we have on this particular session. So if you are using the vertical form here now, this is the vertical form, sorry, this is the vertical form here. What you just need to do is just to use this code and start adjusting some information here. And here again, when we are creating line form, everything appear on a single line like this: email, password, and remember me for sign login. This is just a sample one. And apart from that again, if you are creating a responsive form layout again, these are also going to be information we need to add there, because you may want our form to be adjustable on different form, on different device too. This is it now. So you can try this code. Just depend on what type of the form do you want to create here now. And this show example of the work of the inline work form here now. If you want to create a form like this, it can be adjustable on a different type of the device. So apart from that again, we can now, this is static form. This form remain the way it is, username, password, and so on. You can also create a column for sizing your form here again. Now it now depend on which type of form element you want to create, and you can choose different type of the form element. You can put it there one after the other. But general thing I want to follow now is to pick the first type of the form here, which is going to be horizontal form design here, which I want us to use here now. So I'm copying the code for this particular form and put it on the session. Remember that there's no need for me to create a table to arrange the form here like this now. This is just like example form. Some of the components need to be changing here now. So I'm return back to my HTML page, and there's a section already prepared where the form will be. This is here now. So here now I can do what? I can delete this. But very important to put a comment here now, so that we know this is where the form is. And here now I put what? A contact us form. Okay. So after that again, I can now paste the code for that form here now. Here. And most important is just to adjust the form. Let's look at it now. The first thing here in the form is to what? A div for class row here, instead of using what? A table for row. And this div for class row now have the label for input element we want to use, and that is email. And also have another section for the column. That is for the what? For the input type for what? Email. So this is the first row. And here now remain the what? The second row. And here remain what? The third row here now. Okay. And here is the what? Is the last row here now for submit button. And the form element itself is now here. So I want to change this form to look like the one we have on our contact us. If I look at my contact form here now, so my contact form here now, the full information I have here is first name, last name, email. So let me start with the first name and the last name here now. So instead of the input here, I can duplicate this section for this first row here now. Okay, I copy this, because your bootstrap form will not contain all the elements you have on the form. You are the one you have to use it to be able to create the remaining form element. Instead of input email here, I'll say input first name here now. And here now become first name. Okay. And also here become text. Okay. And here become input first name here now, and the last one here will now become what? The placeholder that's going to refer to as well as the first or first name. That is it. So as I put this one here now, let me preview it and see how it will look like quickly here now. Open the live server. You can see this is where our form is going to now. First name, last name, email. So I'm going to duplicate this one here to give it more work. I mean to change it to remaining work value. So returning back work, returning back to here again. Okay. So returning back to what, to this section here again, I will make duplicate for this row again. That's going to be for the last name. Okay. So here now, last name, and here last name, and here too last name. Okay, and this is text again. After last name we have for email. Okay, we don't need the password on this form. We have subject. Very good. First and last name, email, subject. So I will change the section for that email to subject now. So for password to subject, here now I call it input one subject here now. So and this one referred to as input subject. So the section here become what? Input one subject, and here now become what? Subject. Okay, and here too, that for the label become what? Subject, and here now become text. That is it. You get it now. So after this one again, id, line what? For last name. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, I've seen it. 89, or this is the first name now. This 89, id is input first name. Line 95, yes, yes, 95, yeah, yeah, thank you. So that's it. So and after that again, let me preview once again and see where we are here. Okay, so now we don't need this remember me here, we can keep it, but we need a drop down. That was the select. You get it now. So and that is what we need for this particular section when you say state now. So we can now return to what, to our bootstrap, to see what, how to implement the select section from this particular what, bootstrap or form here. There's a section for the select too. Okay, okay, can see this now. This is section for what, for using what, column sizing the form control here, and this is what we use for the select here now. Oh, sorry for that. Okay, this is what we use for what, for the select option. Do you get it now? So return it back here again, and here is the code for it again now. So what I can do now is I have to copy. Let me make a row available for that section too. Number one. So now on this particular div for subject here, I duplicate it into what? Into two again. Duplicate into two again, and this is going to be for state. I call this state there, and here will be what? Be state 2. Okay, and input what? The state. So I don't need the input type here for that, so that's why I'm removing this input type. So then I can now return back here and copy the what, the tab for this particular select what section. There's class already written called what, form select. So here now I can return back to what, to the section here, and paste that what, code for select here now. Adjust them what properly. This select tag and this select tag here now. So that is it. So this select now, I may want to specify more than one value word for it, or select element set to control selecting and not set to element. So here now, I can return back here and duplicate some of this particular value here. State, state, and what state. And another important information now is you have to specify the value, because once you select this particular tab, what value do you want the system to store? For state here, this is just going to be what? Nothing to select. But for the remaining value here now, when I select a particular state, I want system to return a value like what? Maybe I say Lagos here now. And then here will be what? Lagos. The next, okay, I can duplicate this one here now. Instead of copying the remaining one, 2, 3, and 4. So yeah. And after Lagos, I have for Abia, and here now become what? Abia. And after this, I have for Kano, and here now become what? Kano. And now I have for Abuja, and here now become what? Abu. Okay, become Abuja. So here is how we specify the value for our select. Oh God, undo. Okay, this is how we define the what? The select for what? This is how we define the option for the select, because the moment you select this particular word Lagos, in case you want to use a JavaScript to pick the value, this is the value system is going to store for you. That's why it is very important to specify the value for the word for every element we specify in the select here now. And when I return back here, so let me drag this one a little bit to here. You can now see some of the select value here now being picked. But by default, you are going to do something like the state. That means you have to select the state. I can even do change the content to what? Select state here now. Select state. Okay. I think that's more appropriate here again. In addition to that again, the other form element we need to implement is what? Text area. That is good again. And that one is still part of the word of this particular word form element, like I told you. So we have seen radio button and checkbox, and for section for the word text area. Okay, this label, the password, and text area, disable form control, creating read only, and height, sizing form, and select state value. Okay, last select, small select, and validation. Okay, and for the login, where is the test area? Okay, I think there are so many here. Toggle switch option, custom menu, select 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think that one is normal HTML form here now. So return back here. First and foremost, I have to define the word, another div section for the row here, and this is the div for the row. And now return backward to here and paste. And here now become this is not the state, this is input word message. Okay, now and this is going to be what? Message. Going to be message. Okay, and here is not the value for the message. So here now we define what? Text what? Area here, and specify the rows, 5 rows, and columns, and that's 30 column. And I close this here now. So even though this one does not need to be on the next line here, it can be on the same line. So save this, and then now this section for our test area. But now we have to implement this the same for form control on this form control, and class form control here, element that for the input title for the subject. So, and here again, class form control for this again. And let me see, you can see now, because that's a special one. The form class they already designed for every form work element. Without it, there won't be any CSS or bootstrap CSS applying to this. So lastly now is a button. We already talked about the type of button you can use in the last class. So let me look for, and the button we have here now, if you look at the button here, the button here is what, or submit button, btn primary. That is just it. But if that one my button, let me look for another CSS for the button here now. Instead of this particular one, this small one, I can call this one what, submit. Submit now. I want to use something like a larger word button, bootstrap button that is more larger than this. Do you get it now? So I can return to the section where I have a button here. That's the bootstrap buttons there. And do for any bootstrap button that may be something more bigger than this. That is just it. Okay. This is it here now. I want something like this button now. Do you get it now? That means the extra word, extra small one. I'll prefer this long one here. So btn primary button here. So, and I want the button type. There are two. So okay, let me still keep my big one here. Btn large. That is it. So return back to the button I have it, and add the btn one large. That's it. So let me see what my button here become. Okay, that is it. Submit now. I want some, but this particular, remember me, since we don't need it, it can be comment out. That is it. And this belong to this particular row here now. So edit, comment that line out now, and save it and try to preview the page again here now. So here now we have a simple work button here, simple section for our bootstrap. But you can see this one close to what, to the upper one section here now. You get it? So we can also create a space between this border and this. That means a completely new wall CSS can be written to create a space between this border here, or we can have some padding to space this particular form element here. I'm talking about where we have the wall, the image for Google Map and the form. And if you return back, if I return back here, you can, you will notice that the form, that control them is this. The div that control them is two. This is the first div, and here is the second div here now. Do you get it now? So can the, it's something like a little bit of padding adding to that place. So I can, and that for the top. So I can return back here and say maybe I call it what, pad top. Just creating a class for this. So here now, maybe I want to say what, padding wall, padding top, that section, padding top. And like what will be value as you use, let me say maybe 50 pixel first. So let's see what the 50 pixel does. So this part top can now be applied to what, to this, okay, part top. I can now apply it to what, to this particular class that creates a first column, the div that creates a first column for the Google Map here. Oh God. Okay, pad top. That's it. So I remove, I hope this one did not. Okay, I go to what, pad top. Now I save. So Is there any effect? Can you see now? But the space here is too much. That is just, the space here is too much. So that means it can be reduced from 25, from 50, I can make it 10. Let me see how the 10 is. Okay, I think it's better. Or 15. Um, 10 or 15. That is it. So I think 15 is okay for this. And the same thing can be due to the second column that contain the form here too. That's second div. Returning back here, and this should be what? Pad top 2. So, and that is it here. So that is for that. So the next one now is to now create what? The column for the next section of our page here. That's where we have what? The another word, grid column for contact address, email and phone number and the social media again. And then we return back to what? To this page again. We have been using that column for this other section here again. You get it now, which is the grid column row I copy. And that the same. I think the one we use for the first row here can also be used for that section. I'm copying from the first row here. So that's it now. And including the word this. So, and I return to the end of this column here, row 2. This is row 3 now. This row 3. Okay, this row 4. So after the row 4 is where the next row will be. This is where the row 4 end. Okay, good. So back to here again. Add another one. This will now become row 1, row 5. Row 5 here. Okay. Row 5 section. That's it. The section here become the address. So here now I can, but okay, so I can have a word, maybe A3 here for this, something like an header for this. A3, I call it what? Address. Address. Close H word 3. Close A3 here. Okay. And the same address is going to be using for here, and I need for this phone number, I need for this social media here too. But one more thing again is it, I will need to change the height for this. So but before that, let me say this and see what we just did here now. So here is the section. So we have for address, we have for email and the social media tag. And if you do this A3, A3 might be too big compared to the default setting what we have here now. So that means we can use H4, H5 instead of the H3. You get now? And I can increase the height for this one too, because this might be too small here now. I want to create some spaces there again. So that means this particular section, this column here, I may need to create another one. The border height, BG header, that's what difference. I can create the word height for that. Maybe I dot one address height. I'm just creating this class name here. You can see what height should be 100 pixel now for that section. I should be 100 pixel. So copy this and I return to what? To the row that contain all these elements here. After this row, I can paste the address at 100 pixel here. And I see I created it, I save it. So what that one give us? Let me drag this one up. Is there any effect? No, now. Okay, let me see the border for it. How to bring up the border to see this. You can order Other one also have the border. Is it border we use? I think we have a CSS called border for them. Okay, so I copy this under the div column border. Okay, I think that height this height we apply here should be okay. Border first, and okay, let me apply instead of apply the height to this, I should put it on each of these column here now. Okay, height for this and the border too. Okay, so and this A3 will make become what? H5, and here now what? H5. Okay, so when I save this, okay, that's one. That's good now. That's good. That is good. So I can reduce the wall, the H5 for the rest of the elements here now. H5 and H5. This one become what? Email. And also I have H5 and what? H5, and this one become what? Phone number, and this one represent what? Email what? Address, and this one become what? Contact. This size abi H5 too small. Okay, let me try that. So and this the last one is going to be social media. Okay, so here's H4 and H4. H4 is smaller than the H5. Okay, it's bigger than the H5. Yeah, okay, let me compare the two first. Okay, you see the social media for H5 now. Is it not too big? Hmm? What do you think about the social media? If you look at this social media here now, it's like more bigger than this particular one H5. The reason why you are seeing this one is that what in your in bootstrap they already define the different type of the font size for all this particular header, so they may not look exactly the way we normally have them again, unless we want to redefine their size again, that we don't want the A3 to be normal A3 again. We can create a CSS wall for it, then go to reduce it by using the font size. You get it now. So let's go with the with this particular H5 here. So copy this H5 and here now H5. Okay, but at least when you creating your own, you can choose any other word design depending on how big you want each of these particular form element to look like. And also, before we come back here, we have two more row to go. The row for this particular newsletter section, and the I may need even though to change my button later. So come back, and this particular row for the footer too. So that's a row with a single column. So if you can pick up this is not a top bar, and that end of row 5, end of row 5 here now. So and this one will become the next section for row 6 and 7. So row 6 and row 7 now. So that is it. So and this particular each of these row now, there's only one column there. There's only one column here. So that is one. And secondly now, This is row 6 now. No. Oh, what do I do? Okay, this is row 6. This is row 6. And this is row 7. Row 6 and row 7. So I think I'm going to use the last information here. So let me remove this height first. Hmm. Okay, so here now I copied it. The row 6 2 supposed to have one single column, so I'm removing all the column here. Okay, so I'm replacing it with this single column here now. But in the row 6 again, uh instead of h5 you can say 3 now, because information you want to put there, I think that one is much bigger. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's the message we have here now. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter. So as I copy this, I'm returning back to what, to here. That give us the first information here now. And after that line now, that is when we are now having the form again here. And form is going to have our input element and the button on a straight line. You get it now? You can now see that when we are talking about creating a form, we are going to use inline form, because this one look like an inline style. You get it now? So returning to my bootstrap form here now. Okay, I'm looking for what you call what, the inline form here now. Inline. Inline means your HTML element. This is not inline. Your HTML form element is on a straight line at the bottom. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that means that one will be added on the next one, the next video. I just want to get the section where we have that inline now. We have gone far to that. Okay, yeah. So this is form we're using for that inline now. So, but in this case, what we need is normal. So I can copy this. Oh, good. Creating an inline form. Okay, start from here. Okay, and